The transfer portal has not been kind to the BYU Cougars as of late. And I've brought on a guest, and we're going to discuss it. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome in to another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull that chair up and let me serve you up a shot of top-shelf college football content. Today, I've got a very special guest, BYU contributor and BYU fan and major Big 12 fan, Mr. Nathan Bomber Brown. You can find him on Twitter at B12 Mafia. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing great, Couz. Thanks for getting this short meeting on. I'm looking forward to discussing it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I've been seeing on social media all of the chatter about Kody Epps and you guys losing him to the transfer portal. And for those of you who may not know out there, Kody Epps was the star receiver, basically, that BYU was expecting to be back for 2023 season. And he's a very young guy, too. So he had, I think 3 years of eligibility remaining in a Cougar uniform. So this was a major, and it was also a big surprise. Nobody saw it coming. So real quick, Nathan, just fill us in on what BYU lost in Kody Epps.
We lost a leader, somebody that was great with the BYU community. He was out doing service. He represented the school really well. All indications were he was excited for 2023. So there's still a big mystery of what really was the instigation for this. I personally believe it was NIL money because it's unregulated, right? And that's a story for another day. But all it takes is a buddy of his to talk to somebody in another school, and he says, "Hey, if you go here, man, we can give you this much money."
Right.
And it's just unregulated, right? So it'll depend where he lands. He's had offers from all over. I know that he heard from Alabama, he heard from Colorado, and I think Mississippi State. Anyway, or Ole Miss. The point is that we were really looking forward to having him back. Team loved him, and for some reason, he just felt like it was time to move on.
Yeah, we had something similar happen to us, not this year, but last year when we lost our defensive lineman, Akeem Mesidor from West Virginia. Just
I remember that
out of nowhere, he decided to transfer. Coach Brown didn't come out and say it, but he kind of hinted that he thought it was tampering. And I think he thought it was that with several players we lost, actually. But so, yeah, we kind of know how you feel. And it hurts, man. It's a punch to the gut when you lose a guy like that. And I thought it was odd before we got on here. I was kind of looking on Kody Epps' Twitter, and I think it was 6 days ago, he was retweeting BYU stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, passionately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's gone. And he hasn't put a tweet out since.
Well, and, there's always a chance he comes back. This could be a form of leverage. These players know that they kind of like free agents. Mm-hmm. They can get more money if they're in the free agent pool rather than being like on the roster. And so, again, we're only guessing.
Right.
The NIL world is all smoke and mirrors. You're not sure who to trust or what they're saying. But until it gets regulated, more Kody Epps are going to be transferring from schools with little to no notification.
So you've got some schools that, if I was a BYU fan, I would definitely be concerned about that could potentially get this young man. Colorado needs players. They don't have hardly any left on their roster.
Right.
So they'd love to have him, I'm sure. They just lost one of their top receivers.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think they lost 2 of them to the portal. So,
he, as a leader, he represented a lot on the team. But from a contributory standpoint, 6 touchdowns, 650 yards for the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that's because BYU had a lot of good receivers last year. But also, he was used as an alternate or a feint on a lot of plays because he was so quick. Mm-hmm. So he required double coverage at times, which meant it opened the field up for other players. So the stats that he provided for the team, very, very appreciated and contributory, but it's not all-star type numbers. The big point that I want to stress, and all BYU fans are wanting to tell Kody if he sees this, is that we really appreciated you on our team, Kody. We'd love to have you back. But we understand, priorities are important. And if you needed to do something else for your family, that's certainly, we're not going to we're not going to wish any ill will. We hope you do good things wherever you go, but at the same time, I'm kind of hoping you might come back.
Now, do you think some coaches around the country have a philosophy or a policy, I should say, that they don't allow players to leave, or I'm sorry, don't allow players to come back once
Right.
they enter the portal? Do you think or know of whether or not Kalani Sitake has a policy like that?
I have never heard of it, and it would shock me if that was the case because BYU is a little different. Everybody's family at BYU, and
Yeah,
if you've been on the team even for 1 year, for the rest of your college playing and pro playing, BYU people will be cheering for you. So
right.
I don't think so. In fact, I'm pretty sure we've had people leave and then come
Okay,
back.
okay. That's good to know. I know most coaches, majority of coaches, I think, will allow players to come back, especially if they leave, depending on the circumstances. But
Right, of
there are
course.
some who won't, which I think that's a little strange. But
Sure.
to each their own, I guess. Right?
I mean, it's a short-sighted way to look at it, in my opinion, because you never know. Just like my mentor, my boss told me years ago, you never know who's going to be your boss next week, or who
Exactly.
you're going to need something from next week.
Yep.
So, yeah, maybe he transfers, but who's to say he doesn't transfer back?
Yeah.
Um, but you want to have people out there, even if they've left your program, to talk good about your program. You don't want them going out there and telling the rest of the world that these guys suck and they didn't treat me well and the
Yeah.
school was horrible and stuff. Cody hasn't done anything like that, and I would be shocked if he did.
Yeah. Well, he seems, based on everything I've read, he seems like a fine young man.
Right.
Like you said, he done a lot of service in the community and things like that. So, you know, he may have had a legit reason for leaving.
Sure. Absolutely.
But I mean, I hate it for BYU fans. I'm happy that we won't have to, assuming he doesn't come back, I'm happy that we won't have to play against him this year.
Right. Well, get a hold of Neil Brown and tell him to pick him up because
Yeah, well,
he's going to be great wherever he goes.
I did see that. I think West Virginia has shown interest. I don't know that they've offered him necessarily.
Okay. All right.
But I do think they've at least reached out, maybe. But
At
I
the
don't
end of
know.
the day, the transfer portal gives and takes,
Yep,
right? We've
that's
had,
right.
I think, almost as many that have left. We've had transfer in,
Right.
and in general, we improve through the transfer portal. In fact, I can't remember who it was, but there was a national writer that said BYU, had made some of the biggest strides through the transfer portal this offseason. So,
Okay. Good.
yeah, you just can't have a short-sighted view at transfer
Yeah.
portal. You have to be positive.
Yeah. I would like to slightly disagree with you though about his stats. I know his stats might not be all American level, but
Right.
but we got to keep in mind he was only a redshirt freshman last year.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those numbers are pretty darn good for a redshirt freshman, in my opinion.
We're gonna miss him. I didn't
Yeah.
mean if that came across like he wouldn't be missed, that was an error on my part. I would
No,
apologize
no, I
about
didn't. It
that.
wasn't. I
Yeah.
didn't take it that way, but
Okay.
I
Okay.
just wanted to give it some context that hey,
Sure.
yeah, he may not have been putting up 1,000 yards, but
Right.
500-600 yard season is a pretty darn good season.
Well, Puka Nakua got the lion's share of the receiving last year, and he was
Right.
drafted in the 5th round. So
Right.
that's the other thing that people are sort of really shaking their heads about is BYU puts players in the league, right? They get drafted, and if they don't get drafted, I think we had 10 or 12 unrestricted free agents that were signed right after the draft that didn't get drafted
Mm-hmm.
and went to teams in the NFL. So people are playing in the NFL that had the Y on their logo, on their helmet, and it's just that's why people are surprised. It's like something had to change, and my guess is that he heard from somebody he could get some good NIL money from somewhere, and and good for him if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame though. Like you said, that's something that needs to be fixed throughout college football. I don't care what team you're on.
Right.
Uh, Teams shouldn't be able to poach your players away from you. But I just, I don't know how you correct it. And that's like you said earlier. That's another show for another day. But
Right. Right.
if that's the reason, and we don't know for sure that it is, but it's pretty easy to speculate. But if that's the reason, then it's a shame that it happened. I'd say at this point, every team at some point has probably had a player poached by somebody.
Yeah, I mean Utah last year, Kyle Whittingham complained like loud, every microphone he could find in the
Mm-hmm.
preseason. He spoke about NIL and how it was not good because it was unrestricted, really.
Right.
But it needs to be regulated. This is something that there needs to be some sort of a bar, whether that's a total amount you can pay somebody, or maybe it's how many times they can transfer. Right now, transfers, are pretty much unrestricted. They can go wherever they want, and if they can provide some sort of plausible excuse, they're being accepted and they're going. Transferring, I saw a guy that got drafted that transferred 3 times. I've never heard of such a thing. You're on 3 or 4 different college teams. That's crazy.
Ever heard of JT Daniels?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He'll be at his 4th school. USC, Georgia, West Virginia, Rice.
Kedon Slovis. This is BYU's his 3rd. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I just wish that there was something that we could do without restricting the players and what they need, but being able to protect teams a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but right now the system is completely broken because there is no system.
Well, the one word I keep hearing you using is what Coach Brown uses at West Virginia's guardrails. There needs to be some guardrails in place,
right,
for it. Neil Brown's all for NIL. He agrees with NIL. He thinks, matter of fact, he was an advocate for doing revenue sharing with the players.
Okay, all right.
He thinks that should have been done years ago.
Yeah,
and then we wouldn't be where we are today. But
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I mean, I've heard him say it at some coaching. Events,
okay, all right.
But anyway, so he's all for players getting their share, but there needs to be some like you said, there needs to be some regulations, some guardrails,
right?
Something put in place to where it doesn't get out of control, and you don't have all this poaching and tampering and stuff going on. It's just ruining the game, and it makes it almost impossible for a coach to plan and to know what his roster is going to look like, and do what he doesn't even know how many players he needs to recruit because he don't know how many is going to be on his roster.
Right. The only thing I can think of that the schools could do that could be regulated by the NC2A, and it would be something that would sort of minorly protect the schools, is it's 85 scholarships now, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are a full-time you're a full-time student, you play at a school, you're getting a scholarship. If you transfer, technically that scholarship gets opened up, right? But at the same time, it's sort of in reserve. So the coaches can go out and recruit somebody to replace Kody, but until he signs somewhere, he has to lose that. He has to lose that scholarship the minute he puts his name in the hopper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is completely whack. So maybe one way to put a little guardrail on it, I like that word, is you say the schools have so many scholarships, but if these players transfer in some way, that one scholarship can sort of go into a holding place where it's not counted against the school if he comes back. And then maybe what you'll have is you'll have players that go out and they try to test the market and they realize it's not a big deal. The school is protected with the scholarship and the player can come back and it's no harm, no foul.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. I do know they passed a rule. I think it passed anyway. So they are going to allow teams. They still have the 85 cap, but they are going to allow teams to exceed the 25 scholarship limit in 1 year. Like if you lose a bunch of guys to the portal, you can go out and get 30 guys then the following year if you need to.
Right.
As long as you don't go above the 85 number.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing is if they're going to transfer out, that scholarship should either be put in a hold status or it should be an all or nothing for the player. So if the player knows that they're leaving, the school that they're going to would have to hold an extra scholarship just for them. They couldn't use what they are currently losing in transfer outs for the same scholarship coming back. Anyways, it's just an idea. I think everybody's got ideas on how to control things, but there has to be something we can do.
What's funny to me is that all of us, us dumb YouTubers can come up with these ideas, but the NCAA can't. I have a hard time believing that.
Right. Well, so I'm going to do a little plug for a show I'm going to be doing in the future. There's going to have you, and I'm going to try to get Jason Watkins and maybe another personality from YouTube to join me. And I'm going to meet with one of our local collectives here in Provo for BYU. It's Coug Connect. And I'm just trying to set up the time and place for that call. But it would be awesome for us to first hear what's the truth from the false about NIL, and then second, have a conversation with them to say, hey, what can we do to improve this? You guys are trying to do the best you can to get people to the school. What could we do to the system that would protect the school, the collective, and the player?
Yeah, great questions, and I'll be anxious to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll just set that up, and I think it'll be really interesting. We'll have to sort of look to that call, or whatever you want to call it, interview, and I think it'll answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always an interesting topic, and the thing is,
Right.
it could change in 6 months or a year,
Of course.
as it evolves.
Yeah.
Which it probably
Yeah.
needs to, honestly. I mean, it should.
Well, it shouldn't stay the way it is.
No,
I think everybody
absolutely.
recognizes it's broken right now.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, real quick, I want to plug Nathan again. You can go. He's got a channel called Big 12 Mafia. He's just getting started, just getting it off the ground. So go check it out. I think he has one or two episodes up.
One video right now. Yeah.
So go check it out. He talks about conference realignment and what's going on there. Go check it out. And then you've seen him on my show a couple times now. So, but you really find him on Twitter. That's where he's most active, at B12 Mafia. Go follow him on there. He's obviously very active when it comes to conference realignment and the Big 12 and the Pac-12 media deal and the whole thing. And he's a good follow, so go check him out. But with that being said, hopefully you guys got a better understanding now of what that young man, Kody Epps, means to BYU, why his leaving has hurt the school and the fan base, and why they would love to have him back. He seems like a great young man, and hopefully for BYU's sake, this young man realizes, hey, that's home, and that's where I need to be. So it'll be interesting to watch the progress and see where he lands. And personally, I hope it's not in Boulder. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day.
Absolutely.
But you got anything else you want to say, Nathan, before we jump off?
I just want to say you're doing great work, Couz, and I'm looking forward to come on here more and more. I love spending time with you, and I think we all just need to work together to try to sort out some of this stuff. And the Big 12 is a fantastic conference. We're very grateful to be in it, BYU fans. And let's get through realignment and get back into talking about teams and recruiting and the schedules. This 2023 season for the Big 12 is going to be monstrous.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. BYU can't wait.
Especially for you new schools. I bet you guys are chomping at the bit to get started.
We've been waiting 43 years roughly.
Man, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. But we're excited and glad to be here. We're
glad to have you guys aboard. We're glad to have the other three schools aboard. And we're looking forward to a new era of Big 12 sports, man.
Right.
But anyway, with that being said, guys, real quick, I got to give a shout out to my partner here on the channel, Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. Got a link to it in my description box where you can just go to blueridgecoffeecrafters.com, get you some delicious, smooth coffee over there. I've got some of my own. It's delicious. Some of the best coffee I've ever tasted. Go check it out. Put Couz's, COUZ', in the comments at checkout. Let them know you found out about it right here on the show. It'll really help out my channel. Also, you can please support me other ways. There's a join button below if you want to become a member of the channel. There's a heart thanks button to make a one-time donation. If you want to support me free, you can like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below and let us know what you think about Kody Epps leaving BYU, and where do you think Kody Epps ultimately lands out of the transfer portal, or do you think he comes back to BYU? I want to hear your thoughts on it. With that being said, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode. Q Country Roads.
Peace.
Take me home.